Welcome to the Sisters of the Shire podcast. I'm Abby, and with me is my co-host Ashley. And today we are here to dive into Tolkien's incredible world, making it fun and easy for everyone. So whether you are a Tolkien pro or just curious about Middle-earth, this podcast is for you.
This season, we're exploring the unfinished tales. If you know them already, get ready to geek out with us. Join the crowd. But if you haven't read them yet, no worries. Come discover even more of Tolkien's universe with us. Universe.
So whether you're on the go, like maybe on your commute to work or school, or you're just relaxing, or maybe folding laundry or doing the dishes, or maybe a fun hobby you have that you're listening to us, join us for an epic journey.
Are you quilting right now? I can hear your knitting needles.
Are you puzzling?
Oh my gosh. If you love puzzles, we're friends.
So join us through this epic journey through the unfinished tales. Let's go!
Let's go! Oh my gosh, are we squirrely today? I feel like we're a little squirrely today.
I know. Well, mine is more like my body. So I was telling Ashley before,
you're just struggling to breathe.
I'm struggling. I was telling
Ashley that I'm barely breathing.
Because at the beginning of each time before we press record, she goes, "You ready for this?" And I go, "Bam, bam, 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 bam." Like pretty much 90% of every time we start our podcast, before we hit the record button, that's what we do.
I can't help it.
Yeah. So
I cannot help it.
Today I did that and I dance at the same time, but Ashley can't see me. But I'm really sore, and so I was trying to dance. But I'm like, I'm so pathetic. Even dancing in my chair is like too much for me. No, I was gonna tell Ashley. I haven't told her the story yet. So I'm really sore because I went to
anxiously awaiting.
I went to a birthday party last night, and it's my best friend.
Okay, so I needed to know: was this a kids' party or an adult party?
Okay, hold on. Okay, so it's funny you asked that question.
9 in the morning, Oakley, and you want candy?
It's Halloween. Happy belated Halloween, everyone. I hope everybody had a safe and fun Halloween.
Oh, yes. We're sowing.
So I went to a birthday party last night for one of my best friends, and it was her 40th birthday party. And she was like, "You know what I want to do for my 40th birthday?" And we had been planning this for months. She had been talking to me about it. She's like, "I want a Let's Be Kids Again party." And I'm like, "Okay, let's do it." And so she filled up a whole gymnasium. We had a cotton candy stand. We had corn dogs. We had Capri Suns. We had, there was a snow cone maker. There was, like cornhole going on the side. Hold on a second. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. You're so cute. He was telling me what Fox is wearing. Like he had to tell me right now what Fox was wearing.
Mom!
Did you like that? Hey, Mom.
You would not believe what Fox is wearing right now.
Mom. Anyway, and so she had it was like basically a kids party. Like she had balloon animals. Like I made all the decorations, and so I made giant balloon animals, like huge big giant balloon animals, and like my husband made a sign, a big paper sign that said "Happy birthday, 40th birthday, Kayla." So her name is spelled very differently from how you normally would spell Kayla. It's Kaelah. Mm-hmm. That's how you spell it. And yeah,
almost had me there, and I was nope.
So I was very focused, or I was telling my husband, please don't misspell her name on this big giant banner that we're making for her birthday, because it's very different spelling and it's very easy to not spell her name right. And so we're like putting it up like an hour before the party, and he's like, "Oh, dang it!" I'm like, "What?" And I like look at it. And I'm like, "You didn't spell her name wrong." And he's like, "No, I didn't spell her name wrong, but I spelled the word birthday wrong." And so it says Birthday. And so it just says, so we're like, oh no, it works because it sounds like how a kid would say it. It's like, happy birthday, everybody.
Yeah.
And she had like big pictures of like her.
Poor Colt. He was so focused on doing that one part right.
I know. And so she had like big pictures of like her throughout the years of all her birthday parties, like her like with Chuck E. Cheese, like at Chuck E. Cheese, and then her like playing.
Oh, you mean like her parents actually love her and take pictures of her?
Yeah, so
and kept those pictures?
Like, through the years of her birthday parties. So like these are like, it was the theme of her party, right? And so she had prizes for games that we were playing. So people like were doing hard, like they were going for it for these prizes, right? So there was like a light bright, a magic 8-ball, like a giant slinky, like all these like fun prizes. And we also dressed up like kids. I had pigtails, I had like ribbons in my hair. I wore like my vintage 90s Aladdin shirt, like, and like,
yes, you did.
It was, and then Colt, my husband, had like his hat on backwards and a Mickey Mouse shirt on. Like it was just like, it was really fun. And then she, anyway, so there were these games that we played, and I haven't felt like a kid like that in so long. It was so fun. Oh my gosh, we had, one of my favorites was we did hot potato, but instead of having like a hot potato, it was a phone on selfie mode on a timer, and you had to like pass it around, and whoever picture got taken was out. That was like who the hot potato person was out. And then we had another one where
That's genius.
We played Keepy Uppy with giant balloons. But the rule was that you couldn't use your arms. So you only had to use like your head and your body. And I think that's why I'm so sore. Because I was living out my like Lionel Messi, David Beckham, like doing a header dreams. I was doing that. And then and we did like pin the tail on the donkey, which I almost won. I think the girl who won cheated. And then we had this last game we played was, I have never heard a group of adults laughing like that so hard, but it was kind of like the game in Mario Kart where you have balloons on the back of you and you're trying not to have other people pop them, but you are trying to pop other people's balloons. But they were like tied around your foot, like kind of like
I've seen that game.
And so you're like running
like a three-legged race.
You're running around trying to pop other people's balloons, but also trying not to have your balloon popped. And so
right.
And so I've never heard so many people like grown adults like giggling and like trying to like run away from each other. And my balloons were the same color as my shoe. Were the same color as my shoe. And my friend he was like out to get me. And my friend's like, I think he's like 6'10" tall. Like he's very, very big. And he like kept stomping my foot. And I'm like, Dan. He's like, I can't tell. He's like, your foot's so small and the balloon's so small that I'm sorry.
It's so far down there.
I know. But he would like go for it and like really stomp on it. And I'm like, that was my foot again.
That's amazing.
But oh my gosh, so I'm like so sorry. We did
awesome.
Like relay race things. It was so fun to feel like a kid again and have kids. And and then she sent everybody home with goodie bags. We all got goodie bags. I had like slap bracelets and like sticky hands and bubbles and like ring pops and fun dip.
That's amazing.
So
That's
yes, it was an
amazing.
adult party, but it was also a kids
Like,
party.
I like it. I like it. You dressing up vintage for your party reminded me. So our office at my work, they voted on a theme, and of course I voted for Disney, but apparently I was, outvoted. But they said, okay, let's do decades. I'm like, I have nothing for that because I realized as I was, because I don't like buying Halloween costumes, like, or buying stuff for like just to wear one time. Like, I'm way too practical for that. Like, I can't. So I am looking around my closet. I'm like, what decade could I do? And the only thing I could think of was to wear my N64 shirt.
Yes.
And Lizzie has this little like gamer thing. It looks like a Game Boy. And then I grabbed one of my N64 controllers, of course, because I have them. And that's what I did.
You needed like a Nintendo Power magazine. Like,
I know.
like an old.
Well, okay, but that's the thing. I think I have one. I have like the Zelda walkthrough magazine, but I wasn't about to bring that to work, Abby. That is a sacred item. That doesn't leave the house.
Did you wear a backwards hat?
I just realized I should have brought this with me.
Your plushie Yoshi? Your cute little plushie Yoshi?
Darn it.
Oh.
You live in
Sorry if you
But
can
what
hear
was
my
funny
family
is oh, how dare they have fun and be happy. But what was funny is, I don't really feel my age, as you probably, this about me. Like, we're very similar in that, like, we aren't
constrained by our age. We don't let it get to us.
Yes, but also we don't let it get to us, but also, like, I feel like we also wear the same clothes that we would have worn when we were teenagers. Fair. Like, we don't like, oh, that's, like,
we're not, okay, yes, I know what you mean, but also, like, we're in this weird stuck thing where, like, I'm not gonna go dress at, like, Lane Bryant or, like,
yeah,
Christopher and Banks.
Right.
Like,
yes.
Stuff like that, right. Where I'm like,
me wearing this outfit that was supposed me wearing this t-shirt, and I wore like a shirt underneath it because it was freaking winter. So I was doing the long sleeve with the t-shirt look, very 90s, yes. With some jeans and some tennis shoes. And I'm like, I would wear this now? Is this a costume or is this like, I had this moment of like, am I still in the 90s? The 90s always, am I stuck?
I know.
But then to top it off,
wait, keep going.
Sorry. Just to finish the story. So to top it off, there's this girl at our work that we hired. She is younger, we'll say. She goes,
how dare
is that shirt vintage? And I'm like,
get out. Get out of here.
She's like, actually, wait, like she like thought about it for like a second. She's like, oh wait, that was probably rude. I'm like, yeah. Like she laughed about it. We laughed about it. It was funny, but it was just like, okay, I'm that old now.
You don't know. You gotta be like,
I get it. I'm sorry.
Get out of here. You're done. You're done.
What's funny is her mom works at the place too, and I told her what happened. I told her mom what happened, and she actually had that reaction. She like looked at her daughter. She's like, "Get out."
Anyway, so yeah, that was really fun. But I'm also very sore, so that's a sign of a good party.
Getting old life. Yes. Well, sorry that we had to delay our episodes. Lizzie had her epic Harry Potter birthday party, which I won't go into right now. Let's just say that with Abby's help decorating beforehand, I freaking killed it. And I'm just going to end on a high note that I can't top that. So I'm just going to say never again, Lizzie. And then the parents are just going to remember my epic party and wonder whatever happened to that lady that threw that awesome party. Where did she go? What is she doing now?
And like rocking back and forth, like, it was so good. No, my favorite part was that you had candles on your ceiling like they have in Harry Potter, but how to turn them on, you had wands. You had to use wands to turn them on, and I've
Yeah.
never felt so magical.
Yes.
Okay.
I will say, taking down those lights, my husband like tried yanking on them. He's like, "How did you get those up there?" I'm like, "Magic, obviously,
Magic. Yeah.
obviously."
Um, and then we
We had that, and then
are.
my mother sadly took a fall
I was
that
gonna
I
say,
had to help her with.
I know, so sad. I'm so sorry. Poor
So
mom. Poor
we're
mom.
getting to that age where, mom, stop hurting yourself.
You're not allowed to fall down.
So I know. So, sorry for the missed episode, but I hope you guys enjoyed your Halloween. And Lizzie did tell me next year she wants to dress up as Eowyn, and my heart exploded. So,
Luna said she wanted to dress up as Galadriel for next Halloween. So,
oh my gosh, we're doing it. Oh, but Luna's got the hair though.
I know.
Lizzie does not have the hair.
I know.
It could be Arwen, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. That reminds me, all of my coworkers were very shocked to hear that I did not have any medieval, like, hobbit-looking clothing at all. I'm like, just because I love it doesn't mean I dress up in it all the time. I'm working on it, okay?
You should just come into work fully, like, clad with all your Renaissance-y fair things on.
Which I have none of, sadly.
Yeah,
But
I know.
we'll get into our cosplay era one of these days, Abby. We'll get there. But speaking of Arwen and Eowyn, that's the only segue I can think of. How much
She's an elf.
Galadriel? How much do you remember of our last episode about our poor boy Túrin?
So, did we have like a thing that was like Law and Order, like
Yes.
like a courtroom scene?
Yes.
And it was them doing like the trial of Túrin, but Túrin wasn't even there.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, is that legal? Could you do that? But they were doing the trial about like that guy's that was bullying him's death because Cyros's death because it was like kind of like what the heck happened? Like what?
A little harsh too.
I don't understand. And so I think King Thingol is like the judge.
Yeah.
We imagined him with like a little like powdered wig on.
Mm-hmm.
And they have like a whole court scene of like a jury of like, this is what's going on, this is what happened, he is to blame, he killed that guy. And Thingol's like,
I'm so disappointed in my foster son.
He's banished from my kingdom, he can't come back. And then at like the last minute, very dramatic, that lady that like taught him when he was a kid, the
Nellas.
Nellas, she's comes in. It's giving very much like in Harry Potter, the Mrs. Fig or whatever. Like she like brings them in, like she's like, I don't know what I do, like very like humble, like
yeah.
And she's
so
like,
Belleg is Dumbledore in this.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And they were like, she said to the court, she's like, hey, this is actually what happened. That, that guy was waiting in the bushes and attacked Túrin first, and he was just defending himself. Mm-hmm. And then, which is true, but also like, he also kind of like attacked him back.
But did he have to get him naked?
I don't know. Yeah. Um, and Thingol's like, oh, like he's like, I've been wrong. Like I've made a bad assumption or whatever, and um,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, he doesn't have to be thrown out or banished or whatever, and um, but that, which is silly because Túrin wasn't even there, so he's like, I don't even, he was banished for a second, then he's unbanished, but since he wasn't even there, he's like, I don't even know that I was banished in the first place, and
Right.
I'm unbanished. And then uh but in Turin's head, he's like, I don't want to come back anyway.
Right.
So it was like that was all unnecessary because he actually doesn't even want to be here, doesn't even want to come
Right.
back.
Right.
So, um, what's that guy's name?
Beleg?
Beleg uh, decides that he is going to go find him. And that's what I also remember from the Silmarillion is like, I
Right.
gotta go find my friend. But in the
Yes.
Silmarillion, it sounds so much more like Beleg is like so heartbroken and he like needs to go find his friend. And like, you
Yeah.
know, it's very like, my friend is hurting and I need to go find him. And then this one, it's like, don't, Beleg, like, don't waste your time. Like,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
kid's kind of annoying.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know why I always think of Simba. Like, the Silmarillion version of Túrin, of this part of Túrin, is like Simba thinking that he killed his father. So he's all like guilt ridden and thinks it's all his fault. So Beleg's like, goes to find him. It's not all your fault. But in this version, it's like, oh no, he did not mind that happened.
Yeah. That's why
So,
I was like, Beleg, you have
yeah.
other things you could be doing.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's basically, where we left things. Beleg is vowing to hunt down his buddy Túrin, and then, Túrin had left the scene of the crime, not really sorry, and just having like an odd parting with his buddy Mablung. Not
Madman.
farewell, but fare free, or whatever he says. Um, so, this next section is called Túrin Among the Outlaws. And thankfully for us, being the ones covering the Unfinished Tales version of this part of the story, it is actually very different from the Silmarillion version. In fact, I actually went back to the Silmarillion version just to, and I'll quote it a little bit, just because it is amazing going back and forth, seeing how you can have an entire page of events in the Unfinished Tales that in the Silmarillion is literally a sentence. Like, it just blows my mind.
Yeah.
So that's what we are doing today. We last left Túrin at the scene of the crime. He considers himself an outlaw. And King Thingol's surely going to have people come after me to make me pay for my crime, and I'm a rebel. Yeah, so, he's running away, and he's heading. He doesn't have many places to go. Doriath is a big place in this area. It takes up a lot of the land in this area. So he could go north, but the north is where he went, was at the border guard with Beleg. So north is out. Nothing is really to the east. So not there. South, again, nothing's really there either. So west it is. Now,
Yeah.
if you remember, the three houses of the Edain, the men that were friends of the elves. There was the House of Hodor, the House of Beor, and the Folk of Haleth, or what they sometimes refer to them as the Men of Brethil. But we like the Folk of Haleth better because Haleth is a badae and she deserves all of the praise and credit. So when Túrin ran away from Doriath and headed west, he actually ended up in the Forest of Brethil. Now, before the Battle of Unnumbered Tears, there were a lot of settlements of men in this area. And if you remember, something that kind of set the folk of Haleth apart from the other houses of men is that while Haleth was a queen of sorts, they didn't really have a leader or a lord or anything. They didn't have a big settlement of everyone together. They kind of led themselves, and they just kind of kept to themselves, spread out. They were more solitary.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that after the Battle of Unnumbered Tears, their spread out settlements actually worked against them, as the other houses were able to rally together in their larger settlements, kind of like how Túrin grew up in Dor Lomin. But in the Forest of Brethil, any survivors of the Battle of Unnumbered Tears were able to live in small, spread out settlements, but they couldn't rely on each other for help. They just hunted in the woods. They tried, raising animals. For some reason, Tolkien specifies like pigs. I'm like, okay. Like pigs, and using, the forest, whatever resources the forest had. So they weren't thriving by any means.
Were they like the people in the Rings of Power?
That, or I just randomly thought of, for some reason, Robin Hood.
Robin Hood? Oh.
They're like in the forest.
Oh.
But that's more of a settlement. But for some reason, I don't know why, surviving on the forest resources reminded me of that. So because it is a forest, it's kind of got some cover and concealment to it. So other refugees from the aftermath of the Battle of Unnumbered Tears fled into Brethil as well, which was unfortunate because there were people already living there.
Yeah.
So remember, after the Battle of Unnumbered Tears in northern lands, like where Túrin was, those lands were gifted to the Easterlings. So imagine, you're living in Dor Lomin, you learn the battle is lost, and all of a sudden you see hordes of Easterlings coming to your village. There aren't many places to flee to, so I could see how the Forest of Brethil, like, oh, we could hide there. But, oh no, there's people already living here.
Which is silly because I feel like if they have a common enemy, like why wouldn't they like help them out? But who knows?
Right. But I think there is a factor into this that it's rough all around. If one people were thriving and the other wasn't, I feel like they would be able to take them in. But because they're all suffering, then it becomes a matter of desperation on everyone's parts. And when you're desperate, there's no rational thought.
It's very much like those post-apocalyptic like zombie movies where like we can't take you in.
Yes,
we ain't got the supplies to feed ourselves. You get on.
Yes,
you keep going.
Yes. I feel like that is exactly a very good analogy. So not only do the people in the Forest of Brethil have to fear orcs and Easterlings, but also other men who are desperate and they have nothing to lose. And sometimes these desperate men would join up and form posses. Yes. Quote, "For in that time of ruin, houseless and desperate men went astray, remnants of battle and defeat, and lands laid waste, and some men were driven into the wild for evil deeds. They hunted and gathered such food as they could, but in winter, when hunger drove them, they were to be feared as wolves. And Gwaraith, the wolfmen, they were called by those who still defended their home."
So it says they were driven into the wild for evil deeds. So that means that, like, were they, like, killing everybody and anybody? Like, it doesn't matter if you're, like, not an Easterling?
Right.
Oh.
So, for example, we're going to meet some people here that will further explain that. So these wolfmen were a band of about 50 outlaw men who would just wander around looting, stealing, and killing whatever they had to survive.
Oh. Cool.
They were hated scarcely less than orcs, for there were among them outcasts, hard of heart, bearing a grudge against their own kind.
So they were just evil, like
I'm
driven to
thinking,
evil.
yeah, but I'm also thinking of like, literally like not Billy the Kid's particularly because he actually has a really interesting story, but just outlaws that are just, out for themselves. He has more than me. I'm going to take what's his and make it mine. Like it's just a matter of survival and greed and I don't know how
It's a
else to
very
explain it,
common
but
trope. You see it in a lot of
yeah,
movies
yeah,
of like scary gangs of people. They're like, "Why are you doing this?" And they're like, "Well, the
yeah,
world ruined me, and I need
yeah,
to fight for survival."
yeah. So this band had all kinds of outlaws. For example, the grimmest among them was a guy named Androg. Now, this guy wasn't fleeing from Dorloman because of the Easterlings. He was running from the law for killing a woman. Why did he do this? Cold blood, accident, no details are given, but given his later actions, I formed an educated guess, and I'll see what your guess is later, too.
Okay.
The oldest member of the gang was a man named Algund, and he was a deserter from the Battle of Unnumbered Tears. So he fled from the battle. So, breaking the law or maybe a public enemy number one or, shameful outcast in some way or another, right? You wouldn't want to go back to your
Okay.
hometown and be like, I deserted the battle, you guys. I left everyone else there to die. So,
Yeah.
the captain of this band of outlaws, his name was Forweg. 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 Funny name.
Four weg.
Now, it doesn't say exactly what I know. It doesn't say what his exact crime was, but they do give him a bit of a description, which I don't know why this makes me laugh. Quote, a man with fair hair and unsteady, glittering eyes, big and bold, but far fallen from the ways of the Edine of the people of Hodor.
I like his big glittery eyes.
I know. I'm like, I don't usually see that with evil people, but okay.
He
Glittery
was the
eyes it
worst of
is.
them. He was the worst of them, but his eyes were beautiful. They were so glittery.
So these wolfmen didn't get their name by accident. It doesn't say, but I'm sure there were other, like, probably rival gangs out there that they had to, defeat or be protected against. And plus, when you're willing to turn on your own people dishonestly, it kind of makes you wary of others doing the same to you. Like what's that from Pirates of the Caribbean? You can always trust a dishonest man to be dishonest. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's the honest ones that you got to watch out for.
Yeah.
So they were a very cautious gang, and they would scout out their path ahead if they were on the move, set a watch if they were at rest. They were very vigilant. And it was during one of these scouting missions that Túrin was discovered wandering into their territory.
I'm
Quote,
surprised he didn't just immediately die.
I know. They trailed him and they drew a ring about him.
Ooh.
So like 50 outlaws versus one dude. Why didn't they just immediately kill him? Yeah. Well, I will tell you why they didn't just kill him in a second. So, as Túrin comes out into an open glade by a stream, he finds himself all of a sudden surrounded, swords drawn, bows bent, ready to kill him. Quote, then Túrin halted, but he showed no fear. Who are you? He said. I thought only orcs waylaid men, but I see that I am mistaken.
Ooh, he's putting on the like. Okay. I can just see him be like, I'm actually am scared, but I can't let them know I'm scared. I'm gonna be a tough guy.
Right. So Forweg, the leader, speaks first, and he says, quote, you may rue the mistake, for these are our haunts, and we do not allow other men to walk in them. We take their lives as forfeit, unless they can ransom them.
Oh.
So it's like,
So,
we either kill them or we try and kidnap them and ransom them for money. So can we get some money off you, punk? But at this idea, Túrin just laughs and he says, quote, "You will get no ransom from me, an outcast and an outlaw. You may search when I am dead, but it will cost you dearly to prove my words true."
ooh, ooh.
Like, does it count as an outcast if you outcast yourself?
I'm a rebel.
It's a little dramatic, but okay. I'm a rebel.
I know. It's like, they just didn't understand me. They're like, "We love you, Túrin. Please come back. We've got your favorite dinner on the table. Oh, everybody hates me. I gotta get out of here."
Quote, "Nonetheless, his death seemed near, for many arrows were notched to the string, waiting for the word of the captain, and none of his enemies stood within reach of a leap with drawn sword. But Túrin, seeing some stones at the stream's edge before his feet, stopped suddenly. And in that instant, one of the men, angered by his words, let fly a shaft. But it passed over Túrin, and he, springing up, cast a stone at the bowman, and with great force and true aim, and he fell to the ground with broken skull."
No.
So lots of broken faces, lots of broken skulls in Túrin's life. Like, the last time he broke a skull wasn't too long ago. Like, this keeps happening to you, Túrin.
In my brain, that's like a pretty kick butt scene that just happened. That is pretty cool.
Yeah. Right.
But also, like,
yeah. So he doesn't feel bad for this at all. He's not like, "Oh, I didn't mean to do that." In fact, he sees it an opportunity, and he says, quote, I might be of more service to you alive in the place of that luckless man. If you are the captain here, you should not allow your men to shoot without command."
Oh my gosh. And then so he kills a guy, and then he tells the captain what to do, and then he's doing a bad job being a captain. Like,
Yes.
Oh no.
The balls.
Oh no.
The captain says, "I do not." But he was rebuked swiftly enough. "I will take you in his stead if you will heed my words better."
Well, I guess that saved his life, so.
Guess we have an opening. I mean, I guess.
We just got an opening. How would you like to do it?
The other outlaws are not happy with this turn of events. The friend of the guy who just got taken out even says, quote, "A strange way to gain entry into a fellowship, the slaying of one of the best men."
Sad. Jerry, no.
You can't just replace Jerry like that.
Yeah.
He was the best of us.
Come on, man. He's the one that put the card together for your birthday, and now you're gonna just replace him like this.
Túrin doesn't back down, though. He says, quote, "Not unchallenged, but come then. I will endure you both together, with weapons or with strength alone, and then you shall see if I am fit to replace one of your best men."
Okay. He doesn't even know these guys, and he killed one, and he's like already critiquing and like criticizing them. He doesn't even know who they are. Maybe that guy was a good guy, you know?
Maybe. He was just trying to feed his family,
Yeah. Doing what he could with the cards that had been dealt to him.
Yeah. But it also reminded me of like, "I'll take you both together. I'll take you with one hand tied behind my back. I'll take you with my eyes closed." Like, just like the sassy confidence on this Túrin right now. And Túrin even like moves towards the guy, but he immediately backs up. He's like, "I don't want any part of this." Another guy throws down his bow and then looks Túrin up and down and says, quote, "I am not your match. There is none here, I think. You may join us for my part. But there is a strange look about you. You are a dangerous man. What is your name?"
So, okay, this in my brain.
Well, I guess you can join.
In my brain, this band of scallywags are giving me the vibe of, like, you mentioned Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, that kind of crew, how they're like not
Okay.
like big and bulky and like they're just like scrappy, skinny, dirty, like they can't do much
Mm-hmm.
better and they're not skilled in fighting in a way that, they weren't brought up to do this. Where Turin basically had
Right.
training since he was like a child to be a
Mm-hmm.
soldier warrior person, and so I think they see him, he's like well fed, he's like probably is muscular,
Yeah.
and then these guys are probably like starving and like living in the like
Yes.
forest, and so I could see them being like, well, we're not gonna try to fight this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. That is exactly. Yeah. But I love that. Like, you got a weird vibe happening there, man. Like,
yeah, I could see them being like,
but
they think they're cool and like scary, and then they see him, they're like, oh, we don't, yeah, like, no, thank you.
but this does tie into the Silmarillion a little bit because this is where Túrin gets his first nickname. Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, I forget he has a ton of names. He changes it all the time.
Yeah. Nathan, the wronged I call myself, said Túrin, and Nathan he was afterwards called by the outlaws.
Okay, I feel like we're pronouncing it wrong because in my brain it's just, I'm Nathan. I am Nathan.
The Audible guy's like he it's not Nathan. It's like I don't know, Nathan or something. Like he makes it sound a
Nathan.
little bit more. It's
Yeah, like
Neithan.
how his inflections of placement in the
Nathan.
word Nathan. Nathan.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Which
sorry, my
is really,
brother-in-law and
but also,
and your husband is Nathan. So it's like,
yeah.
it's just hard not
Yeah.
to hear. Nathan.
I know. But I can't just call him Nathan. I can't. But I love that he's like, I'm the wronged. Don't ask me why.
Yeah.
You can't just give yourself a nickname, dude. And that is how Túrin joined a gang. You want to know how he joined the gang in the Silmarillion? Do you know how that whole scene went down in the Silmarillion?
Didn't he just like, I found this group of guys. I'm one
Yeah.
of them now.
Uh-huh. Quote, there he, Túrin, joined himself to a band of such houseless and desperate men as could be found in those evil days lurking in the wild, and their hands were turned against all who came in their path, elves and men and orcs. That's it. That's all you get. No rock throwing, no description of their outlaws or explanation
Nope.
of why they were outlaws. He just joined a gang.
No poor Jerry getting hit with a rock and
No Jerry. Yeah.
his friend being like, oh man, Jerry.
Oh, Jerry. R.I.P. Jerry. So Túrin gives himself an alias.
I'm sorry. It's
hiding
giving,
his true identity.
It's giving in Muppet Treasure Island where he's like, they killed Dead Tim, no! And then it's like, Dead Tim is not dead. Was it Dead Tim? It's like Tim, nearly dead Tim and Dead Tim.
I have not
like there's like three versions of the same. It's that's what it's giving to me.
I know. I'm sorry. So he's trying to hide his true identity, but something you kind of referenced a little bit earlier, they aren't blind to the fact that Túrin probably has a lot more better clothes than they do. His weapons are like made by elven smiths, and I'm sure they have like pitchforks. I'm sure he even talks differently. You know, they can connect the dots that he had, quote, fallen from some high state.
I see.
And another funny thing is that he tells anyone who in the gang who would listen that he has suffered an injustice.
He has suffered an injustice, not the guy that died on the rocks.
Right. Now, how does this baby outlaw fit in with these tough cutthroat outlaws? They actually really like him. Surprisingly, like, you think they'd want to just like kill this like naive, self-righteous, maybe he would come across like that. Like, wait, you've like never stolen from anyone? Like, what is your first looting experience, dude?
It's giving Peter Quill and the Ravagers from
Yes.
Ravagers? I think that's
Ravager. Yeah.
from
Quote,
Guardians of the Galaxy.
heck yeah. Quote, he soon won their praise, for he was strong and valiant and had more skill in the woods than they, and they trusted him, for he was not greedy and took little thought for himself. But they feared him because of his sudden angers, which they seldom understood.
So maybe he was funny. Maybe they're like, yeah, funny guy.
Yeah, I can see that, and kind of maybe like Peter Quill, like he just has like this humor that it just makes himself likable. He manages to survive and get along with people even though they're nasty. But then what's funny is that Túrin can't stop himself being Túrin though, because he's got to have that angst that bubbles up out of nowhere, and I could just see them being like, dude, you were just so rude to Gymnast now. What? Go and apologize. That was so unlike you.
Where'd you go, man? Who was that?
You're better than this. Now, why would Túrin join a gang when, he could have gone so many other places? He could have, gone to other, peoples, maybe even other elf countries. There's options, but in all honesty, not really. Quote,
Yeah.
to Doriath, Túrin could not, or in pride, would not return. To Nargothrond, since the fall of Felagund, Finrod, R.I.P. Finrod, none were admitted. To the lesser folk of Haleth and Brethel, he did not deign to go.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And to Dorloman, he did not dare, for it was closely beset, and one man alone could not hope at that time, as he thought, to come through the passes of the Mountains of Shadow. Therefore, Túrin abode with the outlaws, since the company of any men made the hardship of the wild more easy to endure.
What a weird... I wouldn't agree with that, but I feel like
why could he not go to the folk of Haleth? He did not deign to go there.
Yeah.
Is he too high and mighty for the folk of Haleth? But I do like that he kind of takes back what he thought when he first wanted to leave Doriath. He's like, actually, yeah, going to Dorloman by myself, probably not a good idea.
He's using his noggin there.
One guy can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But how does a guy like Túrin, who might have made some bad decisions, but ultimately isn't a bad guy, live among a bunch of outlaws doing outlaw things? Like, how do you survive in that, environment? Why would you want to live in that environment? Quote, because he wished to live and could not be ever at strife with them, he did little to restrain their evil deeds. Yet at times, pity and shame would waken him, and then he was perilous in his anger. So, he didn't, to stay alive, he didn't, say, you guys, we shouldn't be doing this, or maybe let's not, kill that woman just for breathing. But at times, the shame of it all and pity for the people that they were probably torturing or, stealing from, would just piss him off. But then it says who was perilous in his anger. Would he be he's gonna be angry at the outlaws, so who would he be angry at? Would he just go and hit a tree or something?
He's like, and he looks like he's gonna punch somebody. And he just next to him.
He's got a stress ball,
Yeah. And then he has a pile of broken stress balls on the side that he's gone through.
Yes. So in this awesome and totally mentally healthy situation, he spent the winter And then the season of stirring, if you remember, that's the kind of season in between winter and spring. And then as the start of spring came, he found himself in this particular area. It doesn't give a name, but it just says, that this is kind of one of their haunts, as he calls it. And in this area, the people that lived there the gang was well known to them, and their way of dealing with them was to leave out food as offerings to the gang in hopes that they would leave them alone.
Like little treats.
Yes.
Like, oh, we left out your favorite Pop-Tarts. Please don't.
I baked you a pie. Please don't burn my home.
Please. It's not berry.
But what's funny enough is actually that wasn't even the reason that the gang left these people alone. It was because they actually had a really good kind of fortress in place among these people. Quote, for each homestead had great hedges about its cleared land, and about the houses was a ditch and a stockade, and there were paths from stead to stead, and men could summon help and need by horn calls.
They had their own private security system.
Yes. And they had like dogs and, these really good fence systems. So, did they need to give them gifts and, of treats and stuff? Probably not. But, they're like, I guess we won't deal with, we won't tear down your fences, or I guess I won't kill your dog that you're not going to kill me. Anyways, I'll just take this pie and leave you.
It's like paying the mob.
But imagine having to have such precautions around your home, not because of orcs or Easterlings, but because your fellow men are turning on you and are desperate enough to steal or kill. What a time.
Yeah.
What a great time to live.
What a thing to add on. You're like, you already have orcs. You already have Easterlings. It's like, well, dang it. Like, what a terrible time to be living.
Yeah.
It's like everything's out to get you.
Can't trust anyone.
Is there anybody nice out there?
No.
Thinking about it? No.
I did have to think about it. So they're in this area for a while. And usually they would have moved on by now, by the time springtime came, because, in the winter, everyone is kind of, buckled down. They're just out, they're just trying to survive. They're not, full of energy and outside, tending their fences and stuff, but as springtime is coming, they had usually moved on because, we don't want these men to come outside and see that we're only 50 of us, So, but for some reason, their leader hadn't moved them on yet. And they're like, why haven't we left yet? I've almost grown accustomed to this rock that I've been sleeping on. So one day, Túrin noticed that Forweg, the leader, and also Androg, that was the guy who killed a woman, they weren't around. And he's like, where are they? And so he starts asking around about them. And every time he talks to someone, they just laugh. And one guy says to him, quote, away on business of their own, I guess. They will be back before long, and then we shall move. In haste, maybe. For we shall be lucky if they do not bring the hive bees after them.
Oh.
So very cryptic, but basically saying like they're off doing some stuff. Maybe leave the car running in case we need a quick getaway. Like,
oh man.
Yeah. Now, of course, Túrin wants to live, so he can't really say anything about it. But what Tolkien says Túrin does next is kind of odd to me. So instead of being like, well, that's not good, I will go out and, do what's best for people and, stop them in their bad ways. Or,
he had a chance to
that
be
was
a good
bad
guy.
idea.
He had a chance to be a good guy.
So what Túrin does next Quote, and Túrin was irked by the squalid camp of the outlaws. So he's not irked by what they're doing. He's irked by the squalidness of it.
It's gross in here.
And he wandered away alone far into the forest. Against his will, he remembered the hidden kingdom, which is Doriath, and he seemed to hear the names of the flowers of Doriath as echoes of an old tongue almost forgotten.
Aw.
So he's like off daydreaming, and then he's like, man, I don't like being, having time to myself, because if I have time to myself, then I have time for my thoughts. And if I have time for my thoughts, then I have to think about all the sad stuff. And then, so, just shove him down.
What's that quote from Parks and Rec? What's that quote from Parks and Rec where he's like, he's riding his bike. Chris Traeger, he's like riding his bike. He's like, if I stop, the depression, the crippling depression will go sink in. So I just can't stop riding my bike. I can't stop moving.
Yes.
So
while he's thinking about the good old days and just kind of
is he leaving?
Daydreaming. He's just wandering around.
Okay.
He just kind of going for a walk to clear his head. When all of a sudden, quote, he heard cries, and from a hazel thicket, a young woman ran out. Her clothes were rent by thorns, and she was in great fear, and stumbling, she fell gasping to the ground. Then Túrin, springing towards the thicket with drawn sword, hewed down a man that burst from the hazels in pursuit. And he saw only in the very stroke that it was Forweg, their leader. But as he stood looking down in amazement at the blood upon the grass, Androg, that was his buddy that was also missing, who killed the woman, came out and halted, also astounded. And he says, quote, evil work, Nathan, he cried and drew his sword.
Oh no! They were being not great.
They were being naughty. Not great. But interesting that he just goes straight for the kill. Yeah, he beat it without even knowing who or what he was. Just dead.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting choice. So Túrin says, "Where are the orcs then? Have you outrun them to help her?"
Oh, sweet naive.
So yeah, is he being sarcastic or is he being naive? Because yeah.
He is being sarcastic.
Like
maybe
you.
Maybe he's being sarcastic. Let's hope for the better he is being sarcastic and he actually knows what's going on.
So Androg replies, orcs? You fool. You call yourself an outlaw. Outlaws know no law but their needs. Look to your own, Nathan, and leave us to mind ours.
Ew. Ew.
Ew. Yes. But also funny that he's still saying ours. Like, the other guy's dead. So
yeah. Does he even care? Does he even care?
Yeah. I'm very surprised this didn't happen earlier. Like, Túrin's higher moral upbringing must have had a lot of the acts of the outlaws pretty, that must have been pretty shocking to him. He's like, wait, you did what? Like,
yeah.
I thought you guys were just going on a date. You did what with her? Like,
yeah.
I thought you were courting her or something, like completely innocent. And
or trying to save her from orcs.
Yeah. So Túrin says, quote, I will do so, but today our paths have crossed. You will leave the woman to me, or you will join Forweg.
Ooh.
Androg starts laughing. Oh, go ahead.
Is he saying, like, does Androg think that, like, he's saying, she's mine now?
She's mine. Yeah. I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, because he starts laughing. And he says, quote, if that is the way of it, had your will. I make no claim to match you alone, but our fellows may take this slaying ill. Like, well, yeah, I'm not going to try fighting you, man, but yeah, they might not be too happy to hear that you killed our leader. But what's funny is the woman is still there. She's watched this whole exchange, and I could just imagine her being so confused. Like, wait a minute, they're friends? Oh, crap. He's probably going to get me too. Wait,
Ah,
no.
dang it.
He's defending and threatening to kill him? Wait a minute.
I'm confused.
So, yeah. So all of a sudden, she stands up, looks at Túrin, looks at the blood he just shed on the ground, looks at Túrin again, and all of a sudden, she's got crazy eyes and says, quote, "Kill him, Lord, kill him too, and then come with me. If you bring their heads, my father will not be displeased. For 2 wolf heads, he has rewarded men well."
Oh. She's trying to like, just kill him.
So
just kill him.
that's an interesting reaction.
I
Just
mean,
like, but I swear this has happened in the movie, but like, she's almost as dark as they are in a way.
yeah.
Like, if
I
mean,
that.
it's not really, but in a little bit.
Yeah.
So this lady wants Túrin to kill Androck too, and honestly, yeah, I'm a little worried about her mental health and what her morality is. But instead of listening to her, Túrin says to Androck, "Is it far to her home?" And Androck says, "A mile or so, in a fenced homestead yonder. She was straying outside."
Ew.
Like as if it's her, like,
He's allowed to be
just outside. I couldn't help myself.
No.
But then Túrin says, "Go then, quickly. Tell your father to keep you better, but I will not cut off the heads of my fellows to buy his favor or aught else."
Um,
So he
like,
could have gone a different path, not by
yeah.
cutting off the heads, but going back with her, escorting her back. He just sends her off on her own.
Yeah, where it's probably not safe.
Maybe he
Go
could
on.
have, yeah, they could have settled down, had a nice family, you know? But no. But on the other hand, going back to her father probably would have brought attention to himself. Probably would have had to answer some questions he wasn't comfortable with. But, you know, outlaws don't ask a lot of personal questions. So I think I'll just stick with them. So
True.
he sends her back. He puts away his sword and he says to Androck, "Come, we will return. But if you wish to bury your captain, you must do so yourself. Make haste, for a hue and cry may be raised. Bring his weapons."
So,
Like, I'm not going to bury that dude.
yeah, he's like, I just killed him. I'm not gonna.
You are on your own. But I get a sword. I get a sword.
Dibs, dibs.
Dibs. And then Túrin has the audacity to just walk away. Back to the outlaw camp. No more words. Just walked away from yet another crime scene.
It's making it a habit.
And Androck watched him go, and he frowned as one pondering a riddle.
He's like, what the heck was that all about?
Yeah. So Túrin gets back to the outlaw camp, and everyone is just losing their minds. They're getting stir crazy. They're getting anxious. This is a long time for them to stay in one place for so long. And they're all bad talking the captain, like how long, you know, he's is making us stay here for so long and why. And, you know, Túrin just found out why, but they're all freaking out. And they're saying he runs hazard to our cost and others may have to pay for his pleasures.
Ew.
Ew. Yeah. So Túrin tells them, "Then choose a new captain. Forwig can lead you no longer, for he is dead."
Oh, so.
Well, good news, guys, because that guy isn't coming back. So
Yeah.
you might want to take a vote or something.
Good news, guys. There's an opening.
I have some good news and some bad news. He can't be the leader any longer. Bad news is because
he's also not breathing any longer.
Now, this is a tricky situation for Túrin to be in, like, especially as one guy asks him, "How do you know that? Did you seek honey from the same hive? Did the bees sting him?" I do not like the honeybees analogy here, and I don't appreciate it, Tolkien. I don't. Ew. Don't like it.
Ew.
Ew. Now, so you're Túrin. You just killed their leader. You've only been around for a hot minute, and you're given almost an out here. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, I stole his girl, and then he just wandered off. Weird, or uh,
Yeah.
yeah, the dad of the girl that I stole from him just killed him. So weird. Yeah, they didn't even like leave a note or anything. I just happened to grab his sword right before he died. Oh, dear,
Oh,
so sad.
yeah.
But instead, he says, quote, "No, one sting was enough. I slew him, but I spared Androg, and he will soon return."
Uh, so he told them
I
that he
don't
killed him.
like the bee analogy. Yeah. Um, so he told everyone what happened. And basically, he's like, and I'm going to use this opportunity to tell you that that was a bad thing he did. And doing things like that is bad. And we shouldn't be doing bad things. And just as he's finishing up, Androck comes to the camp and he's holding Forweg's weapons. And he says, "See, Nathan, no alarm has been raised. Maybe she hopes to meet you again."
Gross.
Gross. Túrin says, "If you jest with me, I shall regret that I grudged her your head. Now tell your tale and be brief." Like, I'm not
So
in a joking mood.
yeah, it's like read the room, dude. Read the room. Not
Yeah.
not in that joking mood right now.
Yeah. So then Androck tells his side of the story, but he is like really perturbed by Túrin. He says, "What business Nathan had there, I no wonder. Not ours, it seems. Like he wasn't doing what we were doing, so I don't know what else he could have been doing. I mean, what else do you do in the woods by yourself? I mean, come on, what would you guys have been doing?" Quote, "For when I came up, he had already slain Forweg. The woman liked that well and offered to go with him, begging our heads as a bride price. But he did not want her and sped off. So what grudge he had against the captain, I cannot guess. He left my head on my shoulders, for which I am grateful, though much puzzled."
He doesn't deserve his head on his shoulders.
I don't get this guy at all. He didn't want the girl. He didn't kill me. I mean, what kind of outlaw is this guy anyway, right? Would you have done the same in his place? No, you would have taken the girl and killed me, right? Right, yeah, totally. And this weirdo here doesn't do that. So then Túrin replies, I'm sorry. I don't know why this part makes me laugh. "Then I deny your claim to come of the people of Hodor."
Huh?
Like, I don't think you get to be a Hodor anymore. You're not of that clan. You're not of that family. You're
an animal.
Dishonor on you. Dishonor on your cow.
You're not a man, a human. You're an animal.
Well, pretty close. He says, "To Uldor, the accursed, you belong rather, and should seek service with Angband. But hear me now," he cried to them all. "These choices I give you. You must take me as your captain in Forweg's place, or else let me go. I will govern this fellowship now, or leave it. But if you wish to kill me, set to. I will fight you all until I am dead, or you."
Whoa. Them's big talking words.
So, yes. So Uldor the Accursed is one of those Easterlings that was allied with Maedhros and the Sons of Fëanor, and then he switched sides halfway through the Battle of Unnumbered Tears. So that's like real low blow. Like
The biggest diss.
that's like a Benedict Arnold thing, like A2 Brute or okay Judas, or just like real low blow, ultimate betrayal, ultimate garbage human. So, I mean, in all honesty, though, this is a pretty smart move. If he can actually take on the amount of men there are in this gang, then he could essentially rule it himself. And, he wouldn't have to turn a blind eye anymore to the gang activities this group has been involved with. He hasn't been able to lead by example. Just him not doing it's not doing much. They just keep doing bad stuff, and his good deeds haven't really caught on. Like, come on, guys, you know what a real man does? Treats women with respect, am I right? No? Okay. All the cool kids don't take stuff that doesn't belong to them, am I right? No? Okay.
Yeah.
Just be quiet here in the corner. But immediately after Túrin's ultimatum of either take me as your captain or let me leave, many of the men immediately grab their weapons.
Uh-oh. Ruh-roh.
Like, oh, heck no. This pretty boy ain't taking away my right to steal sheep. I steal sheep if I want to steal sheep. I'm a free man. I have 3 teeth, but I'm a free man. But Androg, the woman killer who witnessed the captain being killed, cries out, "Nay, the head that he spared is not witless. Like, I'm no dummy. If we fight, more than one will die needlessly before we kill the best man among us."
Does he consider Túrin the best man?
Apparently now he does. This is a very interesting turn here. So he starts laughing, and he remembers how Túrin joined the gang in the first place, saying, "As it was when he joined us, so it is again. He kills to make room. If it proved well before, so it may yet again. And he may lead us to better fortune than prowling about other men's middens," or like their trash, their, cast-offs.
Oh.
Like, funny how this keeps happening to you, Túrin. How convenient your kills are.
Yeah.
But he did admit that Túrin was the best among us. So, you might think, does he mean like the best fighter? But then this next part makes me think maybe he means something else. He says, quote, "The best among us. Time was when we would have done the same if we dared, but we have forgotten much. He may bring us home in the end."
Huh.
So he's like,
what a weird turn of like being sentimental.
Yes.
And like
yes. Just like
huh?
Túrin's reminded him of like the standard that men used to stand by, and that if Túrin can bring them back to that noble standard, they just might be able to go back to their homeland somehow. And it's that thought too that comes to Túrin's mind. Like, what if I could lead this ragtag bunch of outlaws? Maybe one day I could, have enough people to make myself a lord of men like his dad, my dad Hurin, and I could have my own settlement. And then who knows what could happen?
Yeah, dream big, dream big,
dream big. But then. It's funny. It says he looks at the men and then he kind of changes his dream a little. He says, quote, "Home, do you say? Tall and cold stand the mountains of shadow between them. Behind them are the people of Uldor, and about them the legions of Angband. If such things do not daunt you, 7 times 7 men, then I may lead you homewards. But how far before we die?" So, like, oh, you think we can go home now just because we are heading in the right direction now? Well, based on this sorry, scallywags that I'm seeing in front of me, there's still a whole lot of bad between us and our homeland, and I'm pretty sure you would all die along the way. So,
you sorry looking bunch of yeah. Like I said, it's giving the pirates from Pirates of the Caribbean, like the skinny, scallywag, dirty.
But he kind of crushes their hopes a lot. Like they were starting to we could change, we could take back our homeland. And he's like, no, you can't. You would all die.
Oh, honey, no. This is not for you. This is not for you.
But he does say, "Do you take me to be your captain? Then I will lead you first away into the wild, far from the homes of men. There we may find better fortune, or not. But at the least, we shall earn less hatred of our own kind."
You can take what you get.
Yeah. So he's like, "My first act as captain, how about we stop stealing from people who are just as bad off as us, if not worse, okay? Does that sound like a plan?"
Okay.
And
I'm looking at you, Carl.
Well,
he puts down
so literally
stuff he had stolen.
starting now, right?
After now, so now's okay, but then after now we're gonna stop.
So the men who were descended of the house of Hodor gathered immediately to him and immediately took them as their captain. They're like, yep, I like what this guy has to say. He's got some good genes in him, I can tell. Well, everyone else,
It's that beautiful hair.
with less
It's that
goodwill,
beautiful golden
agreed.
hair. It's that
Well, he
beautiful
doesn't
golden
have
hair.
golden hair. He has
Eyes.
dark hair.
Oh, dark hair. That's right. Yeah, the other guy had golden hair. It's those beautiful. He's got that beautiful look in his eye. That's a beautiful man right there. I can trust him. He's got a sadness to him, but it's okay. I trust him.
Well, everyone else agreed, but with less goodwill. They're like, well, okay.
Yeah.
And at once he led them away out of that country.
So he's trying to change their ways, trying to make them be good boys again.
Yeah. So, you know how he became the captain in the Silmarillion?
In like 2 words or whatever.
It's literally a sentence. Yeah. But Túrin abode long among the outlaws and became their captain, and he named himself Nathan the Wronged. That's it.
Wow. Thanks, Unfinished Tales, for giving us more to the story.
But I like this. So there's an interesting footnote here that says, in a variant text of this part of the story, Túrin at this time declared to the outlaws his true name, and he claimed that being by right the lord and judge of the people of Hodor, he had slain Forweg justly since he was a man of Dorloman. And then Algund, the old outlaw who had fled from the Battle of Unnumbered Tears, said that Túrin's eyes had long reminded him of another whom he could not recall, and that now he knew him for the son of Hurin. Algund says, but he was a smaller man, small for his kin, though filled with fire, and his hair gold red. You are dark and tall. I see your mother in you, now that I look closer. She was of Beor's people. What fate was hers, I wonder? And Túrin says, I do not know. I do not know. No word comes out of the north. So in this version, it was the knowledge that Nathan was Túrin, son of Hurin, that led those outlaws who came originally from Dorloman to accept him as the leader of the band. So a little different. I like both, but it makes more sense that they would accept him if they knew that he was the descendant of the Lord. That makes more sense to me.
Yeah, I see that.
But they got to keep his name secret. They got to keep that up because he has to have 12 more nicknames by the end of this. So he can't give away his name that easily.
Yeah.
So that's actually where I'm going to leave you today.
Well, I'm glad it ended on a good note of like him scolding them like, no, bad, drop it. You guys are not doing this anymore. I'm not allowing you to do these bad things. I'm so disappointed in you. Yeah. He's redeeming himself a little bit, that he's not just like going in and becoming one of them and doing everything that they would do.
Right. Yeah. But we'll see what other stupid things he's going to do later.
I know. Come on, man.
So stupid. Thank you for joining us on this epic journey through Middle Earth. Be sure to follow us at Sisters of the Shire podcast on Instagram for fun posts and art and memes and all the other fun things. Big shout out to our patrons, Dan, our dwarf friend of the Shire, and Krishane and Tom, our elf friends of the Shire. You guys are amazing. If you want to join our fellowship of the podcast, just go to patreon.com/Sisters of the Shire podcast for $3 a month. Just $3. $3 a month. You can't even get a cup of coffee for $3 a month now, I don't think. You could become a friend. $7, that's like a more average cost. You could be a dwarf friend, or for $9 a month, you could stand with our men and women friends of the Shire. Your support means everything to us, whether it's monetary or just simple reviews or sharing or likes or whatever you guys do. We are grateful for whatever you guys can give. So be sure to leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast platform, and be sure to share us with your friends.
Yeah. Um,
We are up now to 18,000th place.
Whoa.
And in world news, Czech Republic overtook Spain. Philippines overtook Portugal. Russia overtook. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's not Turkey. It's Turkey. Turkey. I'm sorry. And then Iran took over Japan and Serbia. So lots of hostile takeovers.
A lot of movement. A lot of movement from places we haven't heard of a lot lately.
Yeah.
You know?
So keep listening.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining. Share us with your friends and family. Like I said, if you guys had fun Halloween costumes, Tolkien-inspired Halloween costumes, please send us pictures. We want to see them on Instagram.
Yes, please. Heck yes. We are here for it.
I saw the best, like, on TikTok and stuff. There was some pretty good ones. Like, there was, those, like, yip aliens from Sesame Street. They're like, we're yip, yip, like those.
Yeah.
And you said, that's great. Mm-hmm. Anyway, one of them was the Eye of Sauron, but it was a yip. Oh. That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
I saw one where it was, so the mom was like a hobbit, and then she made her baby's hair all crazy and just basically put him in a onesie and made him look like Gollum. And that was like my favorite thing ever.
Amazing. My favorite are the glammed up, oh, I've got a little baby in here. The glammed up Gimli and Legolas, like their runway, like best friends. I love those. Oakley, can you say hello? Say hello, friends. That was very tiny. Hello.
Hello.
Well, can you say thank you for teaching me today?
Well, he did it as a robot. Episode, so a robot.
I know. Whenever I listen to it, I'm like, oh, baby Oakley.
In case you're just joining us, that is Oakley's voice that does that at the end of the episodes.
Baby Oakley. Well, thank you for teaching me today.
You're welcome. Until next time, I've been Ashley. That's Baby Oakley.
And I've been Abby and Oakley, Baby Oakley. And we're so happy you joined us today. And we hope you can join us next time. We love you. We love you all. Goodbye.
Thank you for teaching me a day.
Yay!